We are part of a much bigger family, which is our continent. Rwanda is part of this African continent, and it's not an issue of saying, we can make a choice of this or that. It is what it is. It's a fact. So we have to deal with this reality that we are part of the East African region and much wider the continent as it is now 1.2 billion people, almost the same size as India's. So and in fact we also see it that if we don't address our problems while we connect with others who have their own problems they have to deal with, but also in that connecting, in that sharing of what we have to deal with, we enhance our capacity because there are also problems that cut across. It's just an obvious fact to say that, for example, if you take Rwanda, you'll find, if you go even deeper into the history, many people of Rwandan heritage are in Rwanda, but are in other parts, whether you want to look at it in terms of the colonial period, the drawing of borders, and so on and so forth. So the best way to reconnect and tap into this relevance of people getting back together is not by doing away with the borders as they were drawn, whatever injustice you may call it, but through social, economic, political integration, working together, then you make these divides actually irrelevant. And people start working together, and when they work together, then the common problems that affect all of us will be addressed more easily than, well, we are not where we want to be yet, not even maybe close, but we are really on the journey to that point where Africa can cooperate. East, West, North, South, Central can keep working together and making this continent what it should be, because of the many, not only problems and solutions that cut across for our problems, but even aspirations. The aspirations of the Africans in the North and the South and the West and East, they are the same. They all strive to achieve one thing, prosperity. And in fact, if you look at what happens, the rest of the world, they approach Africa as Africa, not... it's very interesting because they approach it as Africa, but then divide it for easy management of... so it is one thing, they want to say, oh, this is... That's why you find the narrative is almost one. There's one narrative about Africa. It's this place where everything goes wrong, where we have to go and help and do something good for them and feed them and sometimes praise them so that we can use them, and different things like that. And of course, in the end, exploit them. Yes, that's what it is. So it's one, it's divided for ease of management by outsiders, but other it is one. So the good point you are making, while we try, you can imagine, you divide Africa, and then later on, you divide Rwanda, which is almost so tiny that when you divide it, I don't know what you remain with. Yes, the small parts of a small part is too small. So, but Rwanda suffered this division, among ourselves, which speaks to the stupidity of our politics. I don't want, in many cases, where people may have justification and the right to blame outsiders who historically divided us, but I don't want to stay there. I want to look at ourselves and say, well, they divided us and we accepted it. So I start from that point that we accepted being divided, and the consequences we reaped from that are obvious. So in trying to reverse that situation, I don't think anyone would be served well by wanting to take the blame somewhere else. You take responsibility for it, and then, so as we try to bring unity to our people, it makes sense, and it works. It has worked for us, and it makes sense that you take it to another level of the bigger part or world that affects you, which is our continent. That's why it is relevant that we integrate, we unite Africa, and try and make a sense of ourselves, and then deal with the rest of the world as partners, as not as subordinates or second rate, or which has continued to be the case. And I hope, I can see many of you are much younger than me, so forget about our mistakes. Try and do your part, and see if we can improve our situation.